On kind of a serious note, I guess, I've had homelessness put right in front of my face the last month or so, because Kimberly's brother came to us, her stepbrother, whom she thinks of as a brother, whom she lived with and was siblings with for a decent chunk of her childhood. He showed up on our doorstep newly homeless and having problems with Child Protective Services. Difficulties with a schizophrenic wife is basically the gist of it. And this is somebody Kimberly hadn't spoken to or seen in like 20 years. And yet it's her brother. And it's a situation where if you hear the details and render judgment, the judgment you'd render would be, no, he can't stay here. This is a bad idea. We're not going to let your brother take advantage of us in this fashion, especially since he's not been anywhere around when you needed, when he didn't need something, and blah, 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 blah. You might say all that shit. And none of it would be accurate in this context at all. The reality is, Ruben, our brother, is an amazing guy. He's fantastic. He stayed with us for about a week until he got his bed at the recovery house, which is like a 60-day program that he's in. He did everything right. You know, it's like, here's my plan, here's how I'm going to execute it. And it begins with humility and an acknowledgement that I'm going to do it the way that other people are saying, not the way that I think, because the way I think has got me into this big mess. It's kind of the crux of anybody who's got an addiction issue and is trying to resolve it. That's where the resolution begins, is with humility. In contrast, we have our other friend who's also just newly homeless. That's Sarah. And Sarah's in a situation where it's like her addictions have just have consumed her. And you know, she quit her job sometime, like maybe a year before I came around, had a fair amount of savings, and just sort of amphetamine her way through it until she was all out of money and had not found another job yet, and was hanging with some pretty gangstery folks, and had forsaken the sheen of gentility. To forsake the gentility of things. So if things get like there's actual risk, well, then I just go, okay, I give up, I give in. I'll change, and I'll do whatever I gotta do, because I don't want to actually suffer real consequences, right? Sarah failed to do that, and the explanation is as simple as the difference between ESTP and ENTP. Some sort of structured she's seeking that NI, she's ignoring her SI. Her SI is saying, from experience, she already knows that there are bottoms that require you to push reset, and that means getting sober and doing that kind of stuff. She's gone through that process before. Her experience is telling her that she needs to do it again. Her brother is willing to facilitate her getting into rehab and stuff like that, but she's stubborn. She's stuck in her SE. Just keeps wanting to do, and I just play it by ear and figure it out and be a receiver and stuff like that. But it's not going to work. It's time for a reset. But the truth of that is something that she's not especially competent in wrangling with her fourth slot NI. he actually had a leg up in that moment. But instead of understanding how the meanings were determinate and not the actualities, and sometimes it's the other way around. But with courts and law and legal stuff, the meanings are what really matter. And the actuality can, however, destroy your meaning position. As his ongoing essay actuality of persisting in the same behavior, it prevented him from shifting on to the course of action he needed to win. He went into defense mode. But of course, as soon as you realize it's game on, you got to go into offense. It's the only way to do anything in life. That's a truth thing. It's a meaning thing. He was trying to hedge his bets. What Taylor should have done is said, all right, Eric, let's do it your way. And he would have quit drugs right then, or make himself not vulnerable to getting busted again, and we would have gone the full fucking frontal assault and not worry about pissing them off, worry about scaring them. They may have the positions and the titles and stuff, but if you're right and in the right, and you have the meanings on your side, and you bring the truth hammer, people are terrified of it. They don't want you to publicly be condemning them for their own bad behavior. They can't deny because they actually did it. However, by not prioritizing the truth and the meanings in that context, by trying to hedge and be action-focused, like SE kind of action, in the sense that, well, but they might do this, rather than what they might say. What they might say is what matters. What they might do is irrelevant in that context. Well, once Taylor did enough to get himself busted again, then now he no longer had that position narratively, and it was, you have your opportunity to strike, and if you fuck up that moment, then you may not have that opportunity again be realistically attainable. Of course, there's risk in every course of action, but what people don't seem to understand sometimes is that the biggest risk can be trying to avoid staking out a position and fighting your battle. And it's understandable why people want to avoid staking out a position. Well, it's like with the Pomona Police Department stuff. When Steve from my city, who was probably the cop who struck me, said, like, oh, well, the cop had the right to do that because you were standing too close or whatever. My point is, okay, well, there are endless possible justifications for why he might strike me. But my question is, which of those justifications is his? Which one is he making? Example of why I often can't explain to people who ask me, or like Kimberly, for example, how I'm going to win, but I can tell them with a great deal of certainty that I will. Because I don't know how exactly I'm going to respond, because I don't know exactly what position they're going to be compelled to stake out. The whole idea of doing battle, so to speak, is forcing your opponent to stake out their position. Once they've defined themselves and why and what and how, once they've said the words, then they're fucked. Well, how are you going to get them, though? Well, it depends what they say. But how do you know you're going to be able to get them? Because I understand the general slab constraints of this. It's like there are big general narrative constraints. The cop might say meow, 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 but each of those things comes with a certain kind of baggage. And so I understand in a general sense how this general kind of response, anything of this category of response, is going to come along with this category of baggage, which I will turn in this general fashion. And I can't really explain, and I don't even like to try to explain anything more specific than that, because people go, well, yeah, but what if they say meow? Well, they don't have to say meow. Oh, but what if they say meow? they'll have to say meow. But what if they say meow? Okay, well, if they say meow, then that means they didn't say meow, 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 meow. Because if they had, then I would have been able to go meow, meow. And it gets too complicated too fast. You gotta trust your intuition. It's not about TIing it all out ahead of time. It's not about TEing it, knowing how to accomplish outcomes based on these particulars. It's about being able to capitalize on opportunities as they evolve in the moment. And that's exactly what a conversation is. It's opportunities evolving in the moment about which you can capitalize. So regarding the chickens, the point I have is, okay, well, what is the city person going to say? Is it the city coming to invest? Like, all the details are critically important to how exactly I'm going to deal with it. But the fact is, this is a no-brainer because this city of Laverne's published law says you can have 2 chickens. So, how much is this going to be a battle? It shouldn't be a battle at all. But I don't know exactly how it's going to play out because I'm not sure how it is that they came to be aware of our chickens at all, except for the fact that the rooster was growing. Like, did somebody call and complain? Or did a city official hear it on their own just for walking around or whatever? I need to know those kind of details to understand what's happening here. Like, is it actually just the landlord who sent us this letter and he says we can't have any chickens, but the city says we can have 2? How is that going to play out? And Kim kind of asked me fretful questions about this sort of things. I just have to say, you're just going to have to trust me because I don't want to have to go through all the different possible contingencies. Well, if it's A and not B but C also, then but if it's B but not A and C also, then I don't want to do all that. And it's pointless because it could be something like, Y that they come up with out of left field, and then I'll have to deal with that on the fly. Regardless, certain facts are unchanging. The city of Laverne says you can have 2 chickens. So, just as with the police officer, yes, there are ample circumstances in which a police officer can get away with doing that. But they have to commit themselves to a position. And that's when they get fucked. Because they're talking to me. And if they're wrong, they can commit to whatever fucking position they want. I've already determined them wrong, which means they don't have a good position they can commit to. And we'll win that way. Sometimes, if I know that you have a good position to commit to, I might play it out and see how it plays out, and they might not commit to that position and get themselves in trouble. And I can nix that position. No, because you said meow was why, so now you can't be trying to tell me now some other reason. Do not know why you're going to do that? It's like, somebody can, well, like in the Taylor example, somebody can have an excellent position and fuck it up. Same with poker. You can have pocket aces before the flop. You could fuck it up in a couple of ways. You could slow play it, and then everybody's in the hand, or you could check, hoping to check raise, and I guess you couldn't before the flop. Well, I guess you could if no, you couldn't. I don't know. There's various ways you could fuck it up a little bit. You could be very revealing about, you could be like, oh, I'm excited about this hand. Or something like that, I guess. You could overbet it. You could go all in when you're the biggest stack on the table. You're not going to get any action. There's various ways you can fuck it up, even though it's the best hand starting out. And then, even though you do have the best hand starting out, and you play it exactly right, you still might lose. So that's just reality. But your job, so to speak, in life is to play all your hands right, not to win all your hands. And the fact that you hand doesn't mean you played it wrong. So, I guess the takeaway from this is that distillation matters and truth matters, because it's a way of making things binary, of saying I have to make a choice, and trying to hedge is making a choice to hedge. It's not getting both, not having your cake and eating it too. So if you're in a battle and you're trying not to lose, like Taylor was, which was, granted the stakes were very high. There are times when it's smarter to play not to lose than it is to play to win. It might have been such an occasion in this instance with Taylor. I don't think it was, because it became that after he fucked it up, right? It became a certain point where he played his pocket aces so badly that he really didn't have any choice but to fold. So the distillation then is about binaries. It's about knowing when to render complexities down into singular issues of truth and be determinate about your course of action as a consequence, and when instead to recognize that the truth ought not be determinate, that complexity or particularism is more important, or experience, or something like that. For Sarah, she needs to prioritize truth, which is what Ruben did. Now, Ruben has 7th slot NI, but he prioritized the FE aspects of it enough that the NI can be kind of an invisible support for him. He understands how he's got himself in a position where if he wants people to willingly and happily help him, which he needs, he's going to have to stop trying to captain this ship that he's crashed into the rocks. We will help you get your ship off the rocks, but no, you can't drive. Is a reasonable stipulation after somebody has been driving for a while and has been crashing over and over again. They need a reset. That doesn't mean they'll never be able to drive a boat again. It just means they need to stop driving boats for a while, go back to boat driving school, and then in 60 days, maybe you can start driving a boat again. But even then, hopefully you will drive your boat with more humility. Like drug and alcohol programs, generally speaking, utilize the higher power notion. To help addicts affect meaningful change in their behavioral disorder. What they're really utilizing is humility. Saying, the problem here is my own arrogance. I keep thinking that I should do what I want to do. I know what I want to do. And that realizing my will is the best possible way for me to live my life. But being a willful agent it's like by the time we get old, like me, like 50 years old, we start to recognize the seriousness and complexity of moral agency. And we start to have some perspective on our own childish assumption of knowing best that everybody has. You know, it's like we all come out of our childhoods upholding a value of ourselves. Like, well, I value these kinds of things. You mean you value the kind of things that are most natural for you to value. Maturity is about incorporating both the truth and your experience to break down that arrogance and recognize that, like everybody, I too am a tragic expression of a pattern. And like everybody, I too am tragically unable to distill the richness and uniqueness of my experience into a pattern. It's an apparently contradictory and ontologically vivid reality.